The Las Vegas Sphere was supposed to be the future of entertainment, a $2.3 billion technological wonder that would change live shows forever. Instead, it's bleeding money while guests rage about $400 tickets for seats where they can't even see the stage, and artists are refusing to book shows because the content is too expensive to produce. So, how did the world's most advanced venue become a cautionary tale about spectacle over substance? And can it survive long enough to prove the doubters wrong? James Dolan walked through the Montreal Planetarium in 2018 and felt something click. He had seen concerts, sporting events, and Broadway shows. He owned Madison Square Garden, after all. But this was different. The curved dome wrapped around him. Stars moved across the ceiling. Sound came from everywhere and nowhere. For the first time in years, he felt genuinely excited about entertainment again. Dolan was not a dreamer by nature. He was a businessman who inherited an empire. His father built Cablevision into a media giant. James took over and expanded it, buying the New York Knicks and Rangers along the way. Critics said he was a terrible owner who made impulsive decisions. Maybe they were right. But standing in that planetarium, Dolan saw something nobody else did. He saw the future. He flew back to New York and called his team together. The pitch was simple. Build a sphere. Not a theater shaped like a sphere, but an actual massive ball covered in screens inside and out. Make it so big that people could see it from space. Fill it with technology that did not exist yet. Put it in Las Vegas, where tourists had money to spend and a hunger for spectacle. Make it impossible to ignore. His engineers thought he was crazy. The numbers did not make sense. A dome that size would need custom LED panels. 16,000 resolution screens had never been built before. The sound system alone would require technology that was still theoretical. And the cost? Early. Estimates said $1.2 billion. Dolan did not flinch. He told them to figure it out. Las Vegas made perfect sense on paper. 40 million tourists visit every year. They come looking for experiences they cannot get anywhere else. The Strip already had fountains that danced and volcanoes that erupted. But nobody had a sphere. Nobody had a building that could show a human eyeball the size of a football field or turn the entire exterior into a basketball. Vegas was where you went big or went home. Dolan chose big. Construction began in 2019 on a plot of land near the Venetian. The site sat right off the highway where every car heading to the Strip would pass it. Perfect visibility, perfect location. The plan called for 580,000 square feet of LED screens on the outside. Inside, the dome would wrap guests in imagery so realistic it would feel like stepping into another world. Seats would have haptic feedback. Speakers would be placed so precisely that sound could move through space like a living thing. Wind machines and scent dispensers would add touch and smell. Every sense engaged at once. The budget started climbing immediately. 16,000 resolution screens did not exist, so they had to be invented. Each LED panel had to be custom manufactured and tested. The steel frame had to support weight no other building had ever carried. The sound system required 160,000 speakers, each one programmed individually. Engineers worked around the clock. Contractors fell behind schedule. Costs ballooned. By 2020, the budget had jumped to $1.7 billion. Dolan kept writing checks. Then the pandemic hit. Las Vegas shut down completely. Construction stopped. Workers went home. For months, the half-built sphere sat silent on the edge of the Strip, a strange metal skeleton rising out of the desert. When work resumed, new problems appeared. The LED panels were failing quality tests. The sound system was not syncing properly. Neighbors started complaining about light pollution before the building was even finished. Test images shown on the exterior were visible from airplanes flying overhead. People living miles away said the glow kept them awake at night. Lawsuits started piling up. Union workers walked off the job twice over safety disputes. One crew complained about working at extreme heights without proper equipment. Another group said they were not being paid overtime. Each delay cost millions. The opening date kept getting pushed back. 2022 became 2023. The budget climbed past $2 billion, then 2.2, then 2.3. Dolan told reporters the Sphere would change everything. He said it was not just a venue, but a new medium. Artists would create shows specifically for the space. Movies would be reimagined. Sports could be broadcast live with fans feeling like they were on the field. The possibilities were endless. Critics asked how he planned to make money. Dolan said they were thinking too small. Behind the scenes, his own company was getting nervous. Madison Square Garden Entertainment, the publicly traded entity funding the project, watched its stock price slide. Investors wanted to know when the Sphere would start generating revenue. Analysts ran the numbers and could not make them work. A building this expensive needed to sell out nearly every night just to break even. Las Vegas had plenty of venues. Why would artists choose the most expensive one? Dolan kept pushing forward. He personally recruited U2 to be the first act. The band had a history of ambitious productions. Their Zoo TV tour in the 90s used video screens in ways nobody had seen before. They were perfect for the Sphere. Dolan offered them whatever they needed: custom cameras, specially designed visuals, a production budget most artists could only dream about. U2 said yes. The deal was announced in 2022. U2 would launch the Sphere with a residency, starting in September 2023. Tickets would go on sale months in advance. Prices would range from $140 to over $500 for premium seats. Some VIP packages topped $2,000. Dolan said it was worth every penny. This was not just a concert. This was the future of live entertainment. The world was about to see something it had never seen before. Construction crews raced to finish on time. The exterior screens finally started working in early 2023. Test images appeared at night. A yellow emoji, a basketball spinning, an enormous eyeball that seemed to follow you down the highway. People stopped their cars to take pictures. Social media exploded. Everyone wanted to know when it would open. The hype was real. The Sphere was coming. September 29th, 2023. The Sphere lit up for its first official show. U2 took the stage inside a dome that stretched 360 degrees around them. Bono's voice filled the space, bouncing off. 16,000 speakers. The screen showed Joshua Tree landscapes so sharp they looked three-dimensional. At one point, the entire dome became outer space. Stars moved overhead. Planets drifted past. Guests reached up instinctively, forgetting they were indoors. Celebrities packed the front rows. Critics from around the world watched carefully. Time magazine would later name the Sphere one of the greatest places to visit on Earth. Tech reviewers called it a miracle of engineering. The sound system was perfect. The visuals were stunning. For 2 hours, everyone inside forgot about the cost and the delays and the lawsuits. They just watched. Tickets had sold fast. The opening run of shows moved thousands of seats at premium prices. U2 extended their residency through December, then into 2024. On paper, everything looked perfect. Dolan had been right. The world had never seen anything like this. But then guests started posting photos online. A woman from California shared a picture of her seat. Section 208, row M. The ticket cost $340. In the photo, a massive steel beam blocked half the screen. She could see Bono on one side and nothing on the other. The caption read, "No bad seats," they said. The post went viral in hours. More photos followed. A man paid $260 and sat behind a lighting rig. Another guest spent $400 on a seat where the dome's curve made the visuals stretch and distort. People who paid premium prices complained about being too close to speakers, the sound so loud it hurt. Others said the motion on screen made them dizzy. Some guests left early with headaches and nausea. The Sphere was not just expensive. For many people, it was physically uncomfortable. U2 kept performing, but the crowds started thinning. Early shows had sold out. By November, empty seats appeared in the upper sections. The band extended the residency again, this time through March 20. 24. Industry insiders noticed the pattern. When a show keeps extending, it usually means tickets are not selling as fast as hoped. The Sphere needed momentum. Instead, it was fighting for every sale. Ticket prices stayed high. The cheapest seats hovered around $140. Good seats cost $300 to $400. VIP packages with backstage access and premium bars ran over $1,000. Guests arriving at the venue found more sticker shock. Cocktails cost $20. Beer was $15. A small popcorn ran $18. Bottled water was $8. For a family of 4, a single night at the Sphere could easily top $2,000 before anyone sat down. The business model was simple on paper. The Sphere had 18,000 seats. Sell them all at an average of $250 per ticket. That is $4.5 million per show. Run 200 shows per year. That is $900 million in ticket revenue. Add concessions and merchandise, and the Sphere could theoretically break even in 3 years. But that assumed sellouts every night. That assumed people would come back. Neither was happening. The content problem revealed itself slowly. U2 had spent over $10 million creating custom visuals for their show. Every song had unique imagery designed specifically for the dome. Most artists could not afford that. A normal concert used standard lights and screens. Plug in, play, pack up. The Sphere required custom production for every single show. Bands would need to invest millions just to make the technology work. Few were willing to take that risk. Dolan started pitching other ideas. The Sphere could show movies, not regular movies, but films shot specifically for the dome. He called them postcard experiences. 50-minute nature documentaries with no plot, just visuals. Whales swimming, mountains at sunset, deserts at dawn. Beautiful, immersive, pointless. Tickets cost $100. Guests watched once and never came back. Dead & Company announced a run of shows for summer 2024. Fish, the jam band known for cheap tickets and loyal fans, was rumored to book dates. Then the pricing came out. $200 minimum. $300 for decent seats. Fish fans revolted online. Their whole culture was built around affordable access. Bands played multiple nights in the same city so everyone could attend. The Sphere was the opposite of that philosophy. The shows were canceled before they were even officially announced. By spring 2024, the cracks were obvious. Industry analysts visited on random weeknights and found the Sphere 40% full. Some shows barely hit 50% capacity. To break even, the venue needed to average 80 to 90%. The math was not working. Madison Square Garden Entertainment stock dropped 30% from its peak. Investors were losing patience. Dolan appeared at a shareholders meeting and admitted the truth. The Sphere would not be profitable for years, maybe a decade. He framed it as a long-term investment, a bet on the future. But Wall Street does not like long-term bets that bleed money every quarter. Analysts started calling the Sphere a vanity project. Some used harsher words. More artists were approached. The Eagles were rumored. Metallica was mentioned. Adele was supposedly in talks. None of them committed. The problem was obvious. Why would an artist spend $10 million on custom production when they could play T-Mobile Arena across the street for a fraction of the cost and sell just as many tickets? The Sphere offered spectacle, but spectacle alone was not enough. Even the exterior screens became a problem. The Sphere ran ads at night to generate revenue. Car companies paid millions to show vehicles driving across the dome, but neighbors kept suing. The light pollution was real. People miles away could see the glow. Homeowners complained about property values dropping. The city started getting pressure to regulate the displays. Dolan fought back, but the legal fees kept mounting. The Sphere had become exactly what critics feared: a technological marvel with no sustainable business model. Beautiful, but broken. Innovative, but impractical. The future of entertainment, maybe, but also a $2.3 billion problem with no clear solution. The real disaster was not the technology. The screens worked, the sound was perfect, the building did exactly what it was designed to do. The disaster was economics. Simple, brutal math that no amount of innovation could fix. Start with the average ticket price, $350. That number made sense to Dolan. He was selling an experience people could not get anywhere else. But $350 was not just expensive for a concert, it was expensive for anything. A family of four would spend $1,400 on tickets alone. Add parking, food, drinks, and merchandise. And a single night easily topped $2,000. That was a mortgage payment. That was a used car. That was a vacation. Las Vegas tourists came to the city with budgets. Most planned to see one or two shows during their trip. Cirque du Soleil tickets ran $80 to $150. Penn and Teller were $75. Even big headliners at T-Mobile Arena rarely topped $200 for good seats. The Sphere was asking people to spend double or triple what every other venue charged. And for what? Better screens? Most guests could not tell the difference between 16,000 resolution and 8,000. They just knew it cost too much. The repeat customer problem was worse. Vegas thrives on people coming back. Casinos build loyalty programs. Hotels offer return discounts. Shows count on tourists seeing them multiple times over years of visits. The Sphere had no repeat business. Guests came once, posted photos, and never returned. Why would they? The show was the same every time. U2 played the same set list every night. The postcard films never changed. There was no reason to spend another $350 to see the exact same thing. Industry analysts started doing the math publicly. The Sphere needed to sell roughly 16,000 seats per night at an average of $250 to hit $900 million in annual revenue. Even at that level, it would take years to recover the $2.3 billion construction cost. But the venue was averaging 8,000 to 9,000 seats per show. Some nights dipped to 7,000. At that rate, annual revenue was closer to $450 million. Not even half of what was needed. Dolan tried everything. He lowered prices on upper-level seats. Some dropped to $100. It did not help. The cheap seats were the worst seats, the ones with obstructed views and distorted screens. Guests who paid $100 left angry, posting complaints online. That drove away the people willing to pay premium prices. The Sphere was stuck. Lower prices attracted the wrong customers. High prices kept everyone away. The content drought got worse. After U2, the Sphere booked a residency with Phish. Then Eagles were confirmed for a short run. But the gap between acts kept growing. Weeks would pass with nothing but postcard films. The venue sat empty 5 nights a week. Every dark night, revenue was lost. Every empty seat was money that would never come back. Artists started talking privately about why they would not book the Sphere. The production costs were insane. A normal tour had standard equipment that moved from city to city. Load in, play, load out. The Sphere required everything to be custom. Visuals had to be created specifically for the dome. Sound had to be mixed for 16,000 speakers. Lighting had to account for a 360 space. One artist manager estimated it would cost $15 million to produce a proper Sphere show. Another said 20 million. Those numbers only made sense if you could recoup them over dozens of shows. But the ticket prices were already too high. There was no room to go higher. The Sphere started exploring other options: corporate events, conferences, product launches. Tech companies had money and loved spectacle. But those were one off bookings, not recurring revenue. A company might rent the Sphere for a night and pay $1 million. Great. But that was one night. The venue had 365. Sports became the next experiment. The Sphere announced it would broadcast UFC fights live on the dome. Fans could watch in a completely immersive environment. Tickets were priced at $150. The first event sold poorly. Fans asked why they would pay $150 to watch a screen when they could go to a sports bar and watch for free, or stay home and order the pay-per-view for $80. The Sphere was solving a problem nobody had. Esports was pitched next. League of Legends tournaments, Fortnite championships. The gaming demographic loved technology and spectacle, but esports fans were young and price sensitive. Charging $300 to watch video games on a big screen was a non-starter. The idea quietly died. Behind the scenes, Madison Square Garden Entertainment was panicking. The company had borrowed heavily to build the Sphere. Debt payments were coming due. Revenue was not covering operating costs, let alone loan repayments. The stock price kept falling. Analysts downgraded the company's rating. Investors started demanding answers. Some called for Dolan to step down. Dolan refused. He gave interviews insisting the Sphere was on track. He said critics did not understand the vision. This was not about making money in year 1 or year 2. This was about creating something permanent. The Sphere would outlast all of them. In 20 years, people would look back and call it genius. Maybe he was right. But 20 years is a long time to bleed money. The neighborhood lawsuits continued. Residents near the Sphere sued over light pollution, noise, and traffic. The giant eyeball videos that went viral were the same images keeping people awake at night. The city started drafting regulations limiting when and how the exterior screens could operate. Dolan fought every restriction, arguing it violated free speech. The legal bills piled up. Employee turnover became a problem. Workers complained about low pay and high pressure. The Sphere needed staff every night, but could not afford to keep full teams when shows were not selling out. Layoffs started quietly. Customer service suffered. Guests complained about long lines, dirty bathrooms, and rude staff. Reviews got worse. The Sphere was caught in a death spiral. High prices drove people away. Low attendance meant less revenue. Less revenue meant cost cutting. Cost cutting hurt the experience. Bad experiences meant worse reviews. Worse reviews drove more people away. Round and round. Here is the strangest part. The people who loved the Sphere really loved it. Film critics who saw the postcard experiences called them transcendent. Music journalists who caught U2 said it was the best concert they had ever seen. Tech reviewers wrote long essays about the sound design and visual precision. The Sphere delivered exactly what it promised: perfect immersion, total sensory engagement, a glimpse of what entertainment could become. But perfect immersion did not fix the fundamental problem. The Sphere was not built for Las Vegas. It was built for a world that did not exist yet. Las Vegas runs on volume and variety. Tourists come for 3 or 4 days. They want to see multiple shows, eat at different restaurants, and try various casinos. The city is designed for people who get bored easily and have money to spend on many small experiences. The Sphere offered one giant, expensive experience. It did not fit the pattern. Imagine a different world. Imagine the Sphere in New York or Los Angeles. Cities where people live year-round. Cities with populations that could support a venue through repeat visits and local audiences. A New Yorker might go to the Sphere 4 times a year to see different shows. A local audience would create baseline demand that made the economics work. But Las Vegas had no local audience, just tourists passing through, most of whom would never return. The technology was also ahead of its time. In 10 years, maybe producing custom dome content would be cheap. Maybe AI could generate immersive visuals in hours instead of months. Maybe the cost of creation would drop low enough that artists could afford to experiment. But in 2024, it was prohibitively expensive. The sphere needed the future to arrive faster. Dolan started hinting at international expansion. A sphere in London, another in Tokyo, maybe Dubai. The idea was to build enough venues that content costs could be spread across multiple locations. Create a show once, play it in 4 different spheres. The math would work better that way. But investors were not interested. Building one sphere nearly bankrupted the company. Nobody wanted to fund a second. The pricing question never got easier. Every few months, the sphere would lower ticket costs on select shows trying to find the sweet spot. $120, $150, back up to $200. Nothing worked. The problem was not the exact price. The problem was that any price felt too high for a one-time experience in a city full of cheaper options. Some guests loved the lack of crowds. They appreciated having space to move around. They enjoyed bathrooms without long lines and concession stands they could walk right up to. For them, the sphere was Vegas. For people who hated Vegas, quiet, calm, focused, no slots ringing, no drunk crowds, just the show and nothing else. That was a feature, not a bug, but that audience was tiny. Most people came to Las Vegas for chaos and energy. They wanted packed rooms and loud crowds and the feeling that something exciting was happening. The sphere felt empty, even when it was half full. That emptiness made people nervous. It felt like being at a party nobody came to. The sphere tried theme nights, 70s disco on the dome, 80s nostalgia weekends, horror movie marathons in October. Some worked better than others, but none became sustainable. The venue was too big and too expensive to fill with niche audiences. By late 2024, rumors started spreading that Madison Square Garden Entertainment was exploring options. Maybe sell the sphere to another company, maybe convert it into a permanent attraction like a museum or planetarium. Maybe lease it long term to a single artist who could afford the production costs. Nothing was confirmed, but the fact that options were being discussed at all was telling. Dolan stopped doing interviews about the sphere. His last public comments came at a shareholders meeting where he repeated the same lines about long-term vision and patience. Investors were not patient. Some were calling for a full audit of how the $2.3 billion was spent. Others wanted the company broken up and sold for parts. The exterior screens kept running ads. Car companies paid millions for 30-second spots. Tech firms bought time during CES. Movie studios promoted blockbusters. That revenue helped, but it was not enough. The sphere needed to be a venue, not a billboard. The irony was impossible to ignore. Dolan had set out to build the future of entertainment. He succeeded. The sphere was everything he promised. The technology worked. The experience was real. But the future arrived before the world was ready to pay for it. Or maybe the world was ready, just not in Las Vegas, not at these prices, not for one-time tourists with limited budgets and unlimited options. So what happens next? Maybe the sphere survives by lowering expectations. Fewer shows, smaller audiences, longer timelines. Maybe it becomes a cult attraction, beloved by a small group of fans who make pilgrimages specifically to see it. Maybe it gets sold and reimagined as something else entirely. Or maybe it sits there for years, a $2.3 billion monument to ambition and miscalculation, waiting for the world to catch up. The sphere is not a failure. It is a paradox, a technological triumph that cannot pay for itself, a vision of the future built in the wrong place at the wrong time. The most advanced entertainment venue on Earth, half empty on most nights, wondering where the audience went. Is the sphere just early to the party, a pioneer that will eventually be proven right when the rest of the world catches up? Or is it proof that spectacle alone cannot overcome bad economics and mismatched expectations? That even $2.3 billion in perfect execution cannot fix a business model built on hope. Instead of math, let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into Vegas stories like this, subscribe. I will see you next time.